please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.
Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Clay Link here with Todd Zola of RotoWire and Masters Ball. It is the two-start pitcher podcast. Of course, we're going to be grading out all two-start options, looking ahead to the week of April 12th already. So if you're unfamiliar, we'll be grading all two-start options on a 0 to 5 scale, which was something that Todd and DVR invented a while back. And basically, it's, if you have 5 leagues, how many of them are you starting this pitcher in? So, Todd, how are you doing on this Friday? I know we kind of ran out of time last week, so I want to get into it, but how are you, man?
Doing well. Doing better than my teams anyway, but it's okay. It's early, man, but it's been rough, and a couple of injuries maybe we'll touch on, but yeah, it's everything else is fine though. Nice weather, baseball's on my TV. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed that we only got 9 games tonight. Looking forward to when we get back to full slate Fridays a little bit, but
yeah, it's opening day.
Yeah,
for a lot of teams, so they're just last week it mattered. Last week it mattered. Baltimore and Boston had to play on the Friday, but this beautiful weather yesterday across the country, just the way it is. But yeah, no, I write up Friday slate for ESPN. It's like, man, where is everybody?
Yeah,
it was a terrible slate to. If you're looking to stream today, you probably already realize it's not very good to stream.
Yeah, it's been a weird streaming season so far. Some really big hits and some disasters.
Well, we can talk about it when we get to two-start pitching, but at least so far, only Texas is using and they're using tandems. They're not even using opener, right? I mean, Dane Dunning went 5. Jordan Lyles, he'll pitch. They're announcing in advance who the second pitcher is going to be. And, for all this talk about innings, I mean, I know starting pitching innings are down, but there's at least early, with injuries, it will change. But there's only one team using openers and primary pitchers right now.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of guys are going at least like 4, even like the JT Brewbakers of the world.
Yeah.
I know he fell short of qualifying for a win against Cincinnati, but he pitched okay. And, just trying to navigate this pitching landscape. I did add Julian Merriweather. That was on the relief side, of course.
Right.
I added another share in the Steak League. I'll go over those pickups in a second from last night. But real quick, Todd, anything you're making of this Trevor Bauer report from Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic? Apparently, multiple suspicious balls were collected from Bauer's start and sent to the league office. It's unsure what Manfred could even do, or is this just kind of a blip on your radar for now?
Yes and no. He's implying that it's happening to a lot of pitchers, and that we're only Rosenthal's only mentioning him, that a lot of pitchers. So right now, it's just something to keep an eye on. I'm trying to say this without getting myself canceled. His agent better watch it. That's all. I mean, everything else aside, she teeters on. I mean, what she took the tweet down, but she said something like Rachel Luba we're talking about said something like, "Why should we worry about it? MLB's not worrying about it." You got to watch the flippant attitude. You can't be cutesy and get away with it anymore. I mean, in this scenario. So you got to be careful. The other general thing, with Bauer complaining, and this is, I guess, here's me being philosophical on a Friday morning. If you seek attention, you can't complain when you get attention. Yeah,
they did kind of, in a sense, bring this upon themselves with the scrutiny for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, just in general. If you're someone who posts, selfies, and if you seek attention, don't complain when you get attention. Sometimes the attention is, I don't say not warranted or, not the right kind of attention. But even so, don't put yourself in that position if you don't want to get it, right? So it's just whatever. Let's talk baseball. Enough of this junk.
Yeah, I'll run through these pickups from the Steak League. You're not in the Steak League, but I'll just, if you want to chime in, don't feel obligated, but if you want to. So the last fab was Wednesday night, last Wednesday, the night before opening day. So this is how much things can change in a little over a week. Akil Badu, 33% of a budget, 33 out of 100. He was the top pickup. Yermin Mercedes, 32 out of 100, so that was right there with him. The drops there, by the way, Bobby Bradley and Mauricio Dubon. Then I added Julian Merriweather for 29. Dropped Trevor May. Then Andrew Parr, one of our tech whizzes here. Really good guy. Knows his stuff when it comes to fantasy baseball, too. He picked up Cesar Valdez, 21. Matt Shoemaker, 11. Jake Diekman, 10. Nomar Mazara, 7. Tyler Naquin, 7. Trevor Williams, 6. Zach McKinstry, 5. There are 2 UT spots in this league and only one catcher, by the way. Wade Davis, 5. Albert Alzole, 4. Rio Ruiz, who's playing great defense for some reason, 3. Chris Owings, 3. Chris Rodriguez, 3. Kevin Ginkel, 2. Asdrubal Cabrera, 2. Aristides Aquino, 2. Ryan Weathers, 1. Jose De Leon, 1. Jake Junis, 1. Ryan Davinsky, 0. Kendall Graveman, 0. Garrett Crochet, 0. So a busy week. A lot of people filling holes, which they need to fill after only 8 days of the season.
Right. I'm looking at your pick, Merriweather, because I'm sort of historically he's not that good. 13 innings last year, 15 Ks, 13 innings. That's nice. 6 walks. That's just not he almost won an inning. Won every other inning. Is the control really there? And that's going to be the question with Merriweather. So he's one of those guys that might be better than his algebraic projections will say. And it's going to be the eye test at the beginning, and that's what you have to do with the Fab. You have to make that call. Watch him pitch a couple games on the network, whatever. Does it look like he has it? Spring training. So he's a guy that I'm sort of in the middle of. Once I change him, he's going to give up 3 walks in an inning. It's one of those things. But what Toronto has said is they may be careful about using him back-to-back. On the surface, like, oh, no. But then how many times during a season does a closer get back-to-back opportunities? So it's not a huge deal. You make 3 or 4 saves, but it's not a huge deal. So he is someone I'm watching just in general.
Yeah, I was watching the Blue Jays game last night at TD Ballpark, which was weird to watch, but it was good to see Jordan Romano coming in like the 7th. And then,
for a Merriweather person, sure.
Yeah. Maybe not for Jordan Romano. If there are still people holding on in mixed leagues, which they probably are, but Merriweather pitched the 9th and did have a little bit of shaky control, but he got through it.
Yeah. Now, Romano, was that more about the order in the 7th? I thought it was just more of the fireman sort of situation where the batters he was facing. So if the meat of the order's up in the 9th, he could get the 9th. So it's one of and I think a lot of teams, obviously everybody knows this by now, a lot of teams are doing this.
Yeah, I just think they've kind of tipped their hand already now that Merriweather's got 2 I just think they've kind of laid out their hierarchy a little bit. And in the Steak League, I took the cheap route when it went to closers, so I kind of doubled up on like Amir Garrett, Lucas Sims, Emmanuel Clase, Nick Whitgren, Ian Kennedy I got. So now I'll probably drop 1 or 2 of those guys, and then I add Merriweather to the mix. And so going the cheap route, and now I'm not sitting too bad in terms of saves, I think, rest of the way. So,
especially since you just need to compete, right?
Yeah, I just need to finish top half to get a steak bought for me. I have the longest steak eater streak going in the company, so I got to keep that alive. I can't be buying a steak as the MLB editor here. Anything else you want to mention, Todd, before we get into the 2-start pitchers for the week of April 12th?
Well, the starters this week are better just because of the way the rotation has flipped forward. So, we give 5 slotted people. Everybody has them. They're starting. Pay attention. We'll try to come up with the guys to pick up to keep up with all those 5s. When your opponents in head-to-head have a bunch of Garrett Coles going, you may need to make up some ground. So, yeah, we're going to say 5, but we'll try to figure out some guys that are good on the waiver. And there's a couple this week to pick up on the waiver wire.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll mention some good matchups here or there, and we will also be grading these 2-start options, as I mentioned, 0 to 5 scale, and I'll be keeping track of my grades, Todd's grades, and then at the end of the show, we'll run
I should
through
also
them.
say, last week I did them off the cuff, And some of my grades were different than when I published the piece on Saturday, as far as where they came out algebraically. I do have a pre-run of the numbers, so it'll be a mesh of my gut and where I would think and the actual numbers, the algebraic. So they should be a little bit closer this week as far as what I'm saying, because I trust my numbers, but I leave it open that I can massage them if I want.
Very nice. Well, again, this is for the week of April 12th. Good luck in your drafts. And, of course, these are very tentative. We always want to throw that caveat out there because the grid will be changing, rotowire.com. But if you go to our starter grid, you can do custom start date of 4/12/2021, then it'll lay them all out. It'll have a blue indicator for two-start starters, and you can also show opposing pitchers and opposing batting stats if you want. But as we make our way down the list, Todd, Madison Bumgarner gets out of Coors, but even in his first start, I just didn't see any real signs of life. Has Bumgarner really reached the 0 range? I'm kind of leaning 0, honestly, but I guess with the matchups versus Oakland really struggling, the A's are, and at Washington, I guess maybe I'll give Mad Bum a 1.
I'll give him a 2. He showed a little bit of stuff in the spring, increased velocity. He agrees on the downslide, obviously, of the career. Well, that goes without saying. I'm saying a lot of obvious things today. Lord Obvious is back. Yeah, call DVR. He always liked Lord Obvious. The Washington one's tough just because we're not exactly sure. That's later in the week, right? Yeah. So by that time, you'd like to think a lot of their batters are back. Of course, Turner and Soto are playing. Yeah. They're in the lineup, but you'd like to think their lineup would be full by the end of next week. The catcher's back, particularly Lucroy's holding his own, but you'd like to think Washington. But even so, I'm going to give it a 2. The home field against Oakland without a DH, I think that's enough to give him a 2.
Okay, yeah, I'm sticking with 1, but that Oakland home matchup's pretty nice. Are you off Oakland? Like I saw already some sites are changing their playoff projections. I mean, 1-7 is a pretty brutal start.
Yes, it is, but no, I mean, there's a movie about how they went on a 20-game winning streak, right?
That's true.
So
they did lose Trevor Rosenthal for
they did, and they kind of knew that, that was known coming in. It was coming into the season, right? It was like the opening day when that news came out. So, but you can't, especially a team like Oakland, they're not going to let a closer get in the way. No, and the narrative would be they're due to get hot, and they're going to take it out on Bumgarner. But even so,
true. Although they're missing one of their big lefty. I know most people hate lefty mashers, but I always think of it like Chad Pinder. I know lefty mashers don't really exist. Derek Carty would get on me for that, but Chad Pinder, kind of a big loss for that lineup.
Yeah, it's so much. What the point being, what they don't exist or not is, you can't judge by their numbers after 400 plate appearanrances.
It takes so many plate appearances in the split.
So they actually might be, but you can't call them it. You don't know it. Still, platoon advantage is always important.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it may not be.
The concept of a lefty masher is kind of overblown.
Right.
That's kind of Derek's point, but.
Right. Well, to be able to say it based on 200 plate appearances is overblown. It may actually be the case, but you need 5 times as many plate appearances and needs to withstand that same thing. No, I'm with Derek, but it's you have to understand. He very well could. It's not that he's not. You can't say that he is. But anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Merrill Kelly, a little bit better than Bumgarner in the ERA department so far, but not much better. 8-10, 0-2. Well, same matchups for him versus Oakland at Washington.
Yeah, he had the Coors. Well, I think Bumgarner may have Coors too. Yeah,
he had a Coors.
Kelly got just beat up in Coors, 4 homers or something, whatever it was. I've got him ranked closely with Bumgarner. I'm gonna say a 2. I'm cautiously optimistic over the course of the season that Kelly gets better, but it's more of I need to see it. It's kind of I hope he will. Although if I drafted him, if I drafted him, I'm playing him this week, so it kind of overrides my ranking. So I'm probably going to go with 3 in that regard.
Okay, I'll put you down for 3. I got a 1 there as well, but I got you down for 3, so that seems all right.
People on the camera can see that I'm not exactly confident about that call.
But you have made the point to stress that you are a little bit more aggressive this time of year because you're confident you can make up for a few bad outings here or there.
Or I have an excuse if I lose.
Well, you don't do that often.
Terribly. Well, not as much. Haven't won as much as I'd like. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, I respect the hell out of you as a player, but anyway, let's get on to the Braves here. Max Fried got fried his last time out against Washington, but burn. But pretty good matchups here versus Miami at home and then at Chicago, and you'd think the weather's probably still a little chilly and maybe the wind, who knows, in Chicago that day. But Fried, even though it's been a rough start for him so far, I still think he's like a 4. I'd say maybe like a 10-teamer, maybe.
Yeah, I got him 16th overall this week, so I think he's one of those. He's a 5, but he's not an ace, so we call it a 4. So we'll call it a 4.
Okay, yeah, let's call it a 4. I mean, maybe I guess in a 10 even, I'd probably start him, but maybe there are those weird leagues out there where you just don't want to roll the dice. What about Inoa? Huascar Inoa, no decision in the doubleheader on Wednesday. 2 hits and a walk, struck out 5 over 5 scoreless innings. 22-year-old, not like a big-time prospect at all, but you look at Inoa and look at versus Miami at Chicago. Is he going to be on your list as maybe at least a backup bid this week?
Yeah, he's interesting because he's coming out. He comes out very low in the rankings, but it's based on number scouting and can you move the needle after one outing? I suppose if I was facing a head-to-head opponent loaded, I may take a shot because, as you suggest, the matchups aren't great. Although, did I dream it or did I mishear that yesterday was one of the first time, if not the first time, that Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez all homered in the same game?
Really?
They did. It may have been the first time since, and I missed the since part. But yeah, it's
that
interesting.
That offense isn't that scary.
No, but it's because those 3 guys are coming off years. If they're back, and their offense hasn't done very much so far this season. But if the 3 of them are all back, I'm not. I like Baez and Rizzo. I'm still not buying into Bryant. But that offense becomes a lot scarier. But you're right. They've got the David Bodie's, and the bottom half isn't so great. And Contreras is actually leading off now at catcher. I'm going to give it a 1, but I'm aggressive, but I prefer to be aggressive on things that I have a feel for. I don't know about Yanoa.
I hear you. Yeah, I got a 1, but I don't feel great about it either. So that one's kind of a Hail Mary if you need it. For Baltimore, Dean Kramer, John Means. Means, I got to just take I'm not quite willing to take the L on John Means quite yet. But so far, he's been brilliant through 2 starts. 0.77 ERA, 0.86 whip. I thought in this division, this guy would just get crushed against these righty-heavy lineups, but so far so good for John Means. Dean Kramer, not so much, but versus Seattle, at Texas, 2 pretty good matchups. I think Means, I'm going to make up for my preseason hate and give Means a 5 here, and maybe Kramer a 1, I guess.
Kramer will get a 1. Now, Means, I would have been curious to see, now that the now hot Red Sox, who he shut out on opening day or came close to shutting out, now that they're bats, he's going to miss them this weekend, obviously, because he has 2 starts. I'm going to give him a 4. Is he one of those guys that outpitches his peripherals, and by part of it being he gets a little bit better? I think he might be. The matchups are fine. Versus Seattle, I know it's at home, but at Texas, I like that. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay, I got a 5 for Means, but I hear you. I love that Texas matchup because I know they've actually been okay offensively. Nate Lowe's been a big part of that, but I still think that team on paper, the lineup is pretty miserable. So, and Kramer, you got a 1 as well, you said, right?
Yeah, 1. It could be a 0. I'll just go with a 1 because of the matchups.
Yeah, Seattle, too. That's just a joke that they're not bringing up Kelenic yet. I mean, obviously they're delaying the service time, but it's just such an obvious need in that outfield right now, and they're not doing it. By the way, with us moving on to your Red Sox, you mentioned they're getting hot. Good to see J.D. Martinez looking like the old J.D. Martinez. Oh. I mean, the guy looks great.
Yeah, he's pummeling the baseball, having some fun. Is it the video? If it's just, can it just be confidence that it might not be the video, but it's just the mindset? So yeah, it is pretty good. He's been hitting a lot of doubles. I wish he'd clear the fence once in a while. He's got a couple homers, but no, it's good to see. And Rafi Devers had a home run yesterday. Hopefully, he's snapping out of his slump.
Vasquez is getting hot.
Oh man, he's just a good hitter.
Yeah.
So it's.
I know you were all about him this draft season.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and the outfield is starting. Verdugo and Renfroe, they're starting to come around. So yeah, that opening weekend was just weird. It was as if they played down to Baltimore competition and played up to Tampa.
Yeah.
So now we'll see what happens in Baltimore. Today, I think probably today off, and then they'll get him again over the weekend. But we talked Little Cesar of Ardell as a pickup. You watch him pitch at all?
Yeah,
did I ask you this last
hilarious.
Week? Oh,
that changeup is amazing.
Yeah, it's just I swear he purposely doesn't throw a strike. I mean, it looks like his control's up. I think his control's pinpoint because he only throws a strike if he has to. It reminds me of a knuckleball. People compare him to Doug Jones. I think the fact he throws slow is the Doug Jones comparison. I think Jones was just terrible. I mean, to me, Valdez knows what he's doing, but he's going to get lit up. There's going to be a team that times it and lights him up. But until then, go for it.
Yeah, it's like a dead fish he's throwing up there.
Yeah.
Dead bird or something like the Randy Johnson pigeon after he got hit by the ball. But as far as the Red Sox go, Martin Perez, Nate Eovaldi at Minnesota versus the White Sox. Pretty scary. Although Eovaldi, I think if you drafted him, you're probably starting him. I'll probably say a 4, but Martin Perez is probably 1-2 range. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't get caught up in the narrative. The Red Sox announcers, they love him. Alex Cora loves him. He's still Martin Perez. Mm-hmm. And even before he's a Red Sox, you watch him pitch, he's like, he should be better, right? I mean, he should be better than he is. And then he just gets lit up. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say a 2, but it's a trepidation 2 because that's such a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 2 with trepidation.
I put him down with a 2 as well. Maybe I'll put some trepidation in parentheses. But for Eovaldi, you got a 4 as well?
Yeah. Yes. He's in one of those. It's a 5, but he's not an ace, so I'm calling it a 4.
Same. Now for the Chicago Cubs, Albert Alzolay, this guy to me is like a reliever miscast. I mean, they kind of have to, and we might as well see what the kid's got, and that before you fully give up on the starting experiment. And he is a legitimate prospect, Alzolay, but I don't feel good about him here. At Milwaukee's tough, and versus Atlanta, I think Atlanta's due to bust out on offense soon, and at Milwaukee scares me. So I think Alzolay, especially when you look at some of these other ones like Kramer and Inoa, I think he's in that bucket for me. Yeah,
I'm not even convinced he's going to go enough innings to get a win if he happens to be ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, they've got that lockdown closer now, right, with Craig Kimbrell.
Hey, hell yeah. He's looked great after a rocky spring.
I mean, I wrote, for our magazine, I also wrote for Lindy's, and I covered relievers. And then, selective endpoints, right? But if you took away his first 3 outings and just looked at the rest of the season, it was on point with his salad days, like a 15 strikeout rate, a 5 walk rate, but getting the job done. So it was one of those, I don't want him as my main closer, obviously, but if you take a shot because there's something there. It's 2 or 3 saves. It was a 5-out save yesterday too, which is very impressive with Kimbrell. Also looks younger with the hair, but that's neither here nor there. We both need to take that lesson. Grow some hair and look younger. Wish we could.
Does he have a good mop top going? I haven't really seen that, but
it's not like
like a rock star.
It's not Tanner Glasnow like. But there was an interview. I don't know if you saw the YouTube game.
No, I didn't watch that.
He was interviewed in the dugout, and he was pretty funny. he asked, which camera should I look at? So they said, don't worry about it. About 2 seconds later, he was watching the game, and his own batter hit a screaming line drive that if he was looking into the camera, he would have taken it off the head.
Oh, man.
That's not why he's funny, but he was a very – I don't like these in-game interviews. I just don't like them. But he was actually very entertaining.
That's good. I know everybody was scared off, and me too, after the first couple outings in spring. But then he found his velocity and was actually a lot better late in the spring. So
yeah.
I don't have him many places, but I did get him in my solo main. Another place where I went relatively cheap at closer, but now I'm adding Julian Merriweather to the mix there as well, and feeling better about it. For the Reds, Wade Miley, good debut for him for this season, but that was against a hapless Pirates team. That team. We talk about that Rangers lineup. That Pirates lineup's like a AAA lineup, if that. But he blanked him and got the win. Now at San Francisco versus Cleveland. Yeah, I almost would feel better about just rolling out T.J. Antone almost. But does he clear that kind of default reliever line for you, Wade Miley?
Yeah, he's another one of those. I don't know if he's going to go 5, but he's not opening either. I'm going to give him a 1, but it's not a very confident one. I mean, the fact I like Perez more kind of shows you where I am in Miley.
Wow, okay. I actually gave him a 2 because I do like him a little bit more than the Enoa's Kramer types. Kind of like on the same level as Martin Perez. But I hear you. Tough guy to trust, especially given his injury history and performance with the Reds. So
I just think there'll be a short leash. I mean, if he gets into any trouble in the 4th, he's out.
And what I was kind of alluding to is in your starting pitcher rankings for the week, you do kind of have like a 12-team reliever cutoff point and then a 15-team reliever cutoff. So for me, Miley's kind of barely above that line, I'd say, in a 15. In a 12, I'd probably roll with Antone or another reliever. In the Reds, they have an off day, so only 1 2-start starter for them. Now, Cleveland, they have a full slate next week, no off days. So they got Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie at White Sox, at Cincinnati. Bieber's just a locked-in 5 every week. He's proven that.
Yep.
But these matchups here for McKenzie, a little scary. What do you make of him, and what do you give him for this coming week?
I'm going to go with 3, but you're right. It could go bad quick.
Yeah.
But I am going to give it 3.
Yeah, me too. The White Sox are a little off their game a little bit too. So, plus them not starting Andrew Vaughn is just amazing. So that offense, I mean, with Mercedes doing what he's doing, it's still a scary offense. But I don't know. With Tim Anderson down, of course Eloy down, they're not as scary as they are at full strength.
No, you're right. They did or do not have the depth. Lurie Garcia isn't terrible. Obviously, he's been a starter in the past. But I think the Tim Anderson move, I don't want to say went under the radar, but I think there's just so many other injuries that, oh, yeah, that's right. He's out too,
Yeah, no. I was actually, we're in the staff auto new league together, and my IL right now is brutal. Tim Anderson, Tatis, Springer, Austin Hayes, Kettle Marte. Yeah. Good God. It's not going to be fun. Marte, that's a tough one. But yeah, I'm going to have to be making do in this league for the time being. So yeah, I got a 3 for McKenzie as well. Now for Colorado, actually Senzatella, I keep talking about the Pirates, Rangers, maybe Arizona's the worst of all of them because they let Senzatella throw 8 scoreless at Coors. At Coors.
Yeah, it happens once in a while, and it just happened to happen early. But I don't want to say he'll get his comeuppance this week, but
he's got the Dodgers in L.A. So probably will.
I'm gonna I have him around the same range as I guess Means and somebody. I'm gonna not Means. Who do we just start with? The Kramer. No. The guy we just gave it 3. So I'm giving McKenzie. Why can't I think anymore? I'm gonna give him a 3. It's you cross your fingers on that Dodgers outing. And then just again the Mets too. The Mets haven't quite gotten it in gear yet, but actually wait, Mets is home.
Yeah, that's versus Mets.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop it to a 1.
Okay, yeah, I got a 1 too. So I'm not gonna go. That's like the ultimate sucker move, chasing a Antonio Senzatella's scoreless start.
I guess this means the Rockies, 3 of their first 4 series have been at home. That's a lot.
Yeah, man. I want to see. Credit to Garrett Hampson and Ryan McMahon for doing what they're doing so far, but I want to see what they do on the road because.
Yep.
I'm not a real believer, and I think those numbers will come crashing back to earth. But for the White Sox, Lucas Giolito versus Cleveland at Boston. I think Giolito's got in that 5 ace tier. I mean,
sure,
hardly budging.
Absolutely.
But what about Dallas Keuchel with those same matchups? Not a great start for him, but a guy who gets a ton of ground balls, and if you're not using him here, it's pretty dicey in a mixed league. And I don't know. I'm kind of leaning I guess I'm leaning a 3 for Kykel.
I'm going to go with 3 as well.
Okay, let me get that marked. Dallas Keuchel, a 3. Again, we'll recap all these at the end of the show, just so you know, and you can maybe plug them into your spreadsheet or do whatever you want to do with these marks. They're obviously an inexact science and subject to change. Cards subject to change, as they say in the wrestling world. I will not be watching WrestleMania, by the way. I don't mess with WWE anymore. But for Detroit, Casey Mize at Houston, at Oakland. Good start for Mize. Same with Matt Boyd. I'm still a little hesitant, especially against an offense like Houston in Houston. And the ball, by the way, it seems like the ball is actually bouncier, or at least it's coming off the bat harder or faster. I know Alex Chamberlain was noting the higher exit velocities so far this season.
Yeah, I'm going to write about it. I'm a little behind in the Z files because there's a ton of research for the 2 things I'm looking at this week. But one of them is the ball. And Jason Collette talks about it, that we can learn about the home run rate very early in the season. And Alex Chamberlain is pointing out correctly. He's going, Alex, calm down, man. I mean, we get the, you're he's like, every day we're going to be talking about launch angle and exit velocities. Calm down, man. It is what it is. So they had it a little bit backwards. It's okay. But the point being, as you suggest, the average exit velocity is up, which is anti to what's supposed to have happened with softening the ball. However, the average fly ball distance is down.
Yeah.
So
it's coming out harder or faster, but not traveling quite as far.
And the seams are supposed to be a little elevated, which could increase the drag. So that was part of when they did the study early to figure out what would happen. The coefficient of restitution was supposed to have, that's the bounciness, was supposed to have dropped. For whatever reason, it hasn't. It might be that the ball is just a little bit smaller. So when you transfer energy to a smaller object, maybe more gets transferred. And that's what's happening there. And the fact that it's a little less bouncy is counterbalanced by the fact that it's a tiny bit smaller. But we'll see. It's a little early. We're about a week away from knowing, I'm writing about it in the Z files. It's not that the April home run rate is what it's going to be. It's that the other month's home run rate relative to April is remarkably consistent. So by knowing what April is, first 2 weeks, we can project what it's going to be for the rest of the year. And the important thing, what Jason's pointing out, is it's already lower. So far, it's lower. We need another week of data. How much will it change? We're not sure. But it's starting out lower, so it should end up lower.
Yeah, because it is early, but given every game in Major League Baseball being played so far to date in 2021, it's not that small of a sample. There's enough to take something away, and Jason has done the research in the past that these numbers league-wide are pretty predictive for what we can see the rest of the season. So I do think it's interesting that the ball's coming out, and we've seen a lot of pretty high exit velocity numbers, but not traveling quite as far. We'll continue to track that, and Jason does a great job. You do a great job in Z files as well. But for Mize, getting around to this two-step for Mize, I was just thinking, in Houston with the ball being, it seems like maybe it's back to like 2018 levels. So, I mean, I don't know exactly, but, post 2017 juiced year, but still up, generally still a heightened offensive environment. And Mize scares me. So I'm going to go with a 1 for Mize and only a 2 for Boyd. What say you?
I rank Mize very high. I need to check to see the innings pitched. I may have to drop those. I don't remember what I have because I think there's a chance he gets taken out of that game early. At Houston could get lit up, so I may have to drop the innings pitch, which drops him precipitously. I'm going to say a 2. Now, Boyd, is it time to go back down that rabbit hole again? He's looking pretty good, right? He's looking pretty good. I've got him ranked really high. I'm going to go a 3.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Maybe I've just been burned one too many times. But
3 too many times, right? Because the Houston lineup, I was about to say without Springer, man. The Houston lineup is, Correa's carrying him. Bregman's had a couple good days. Altuve, they're not back quite to where they've been in the past, but they look like they may get there.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez scary, and Mize only went 4 in his first start against Minnesota, 82 pitches. So I just don't know if he's gonna go long enough to get the win, and then there's performance downside baked into that. So.
And if he does go long enough, it's not going to be that long, and their bullpen's not exactly nails.
True. Now, Zach Grinky, this is about as five gets when it comes to
Oh, man,
matchup.
he's doing Grinky things, right?
I love Zach Grinky. That guy's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Oh.
I love that guy.
Anyway.
He's awesome. Now for Kansas City, Danny Duffy, Jake Junis versus the Angels versus Toronto. Ugh. So those are both at home. Good park, but, man, I worry about lefty against that Angels lineup. So I'm going to say Duffy maybe a 1 and Junis a 0. Although, I got to say, Junis really did well in his first start. But another guy I've been burned by. So
I'm going to give Duffy a 2 and Junis a 0. I'm going to give Junis a 0. I know he did well in his first start, but another one that did he just run into 5 decent innings or whatever he ended up pitching? I'm going to give him a 0. I still need to see more.
Yeah. Now, what did you give Duffy again?
Give him a 2.
Okay, yeah, we agree on Junis. Just too much risk. Good for him on getting off to a good start, but just seen it one too many times, and I kind of gave up like 2 years ago, so I'm not going to be getting in now. But you are giving Duffy a 2. Okay.
Yeah, it's not quite the same with Boyd that I can't give him up, but there's still potential there, and he's getting on in age well, as well. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with a 2.
All right, now I've been instructed to do our reads back to back, so a little break here as we
do what you're told.
Yeah, I gotta do as I'm told here. Take a little break as we bring you a word from our sponsors here. Football season approaches, and you've got to check out these new best ball leagues on Underdog. Best ball is the ultimate test of your live draft skills since there's no in-season management. That's right, draft your team, and Underdog automatically credits you with your best performing players every week. You don't need to play the waiver wire or worry about trades. It's just the draft. Who doesn't love drafting? In Underdog Best Ball, you can draft as many times as you want because you don't have to do any roster management, saving you loads of time. Underdog's Best Ball leagues are drafting right now, starting at just $3. Once the season starts, Underdog also has daily fantasy and an all-new pick'em game. Go download the Underdog app now to get in on some best ball before the season starts. Enter promo code RotoWire with your first deposit, and Underdog will honor a money-back guarantee during your first month. Love Underdog or get your money back with promo code RotoWire. Search Underdog in your app store and enter promo code RotoWire. Now a word from our friends over at Stable Duel. Baseball has always been America's pastime, but a close second is horse racing. We've got the best way to get in on the action. Stable Duel brings a new way to play the races against your friends. Similar to what we only know in fantasy football and baseball, you select your team or your stable of horses and compete against other stables for big money prizes. Watch your stable move up the leaderboard as your horses accumulate points based on where they finish the race. The app is free to download, and they offer free games so you can learn how to play at zero risk. Don't know anything about horse racing? Don't worry. The app has all you need to know with free data on each horse's record, as well as a risk number, a speed number, and a value number for your best selections. This is the first game of its kind in horse racing, and you don't want to miss out. Download the Stable Duel app now and get in the game. Play, race, win with Stable Duel. All right, Todd, back to the two-start pitchers for the week of April 12th. It doesn't look like any two-start starters for the Angels because, well, they're going 6-man and they have an off day. Plus, Ohtani's a little up in the air right now with his blister, so
right.
We got to keep an eye on that. But it sounds like he's going to hit, and frankly, as a hitter, he's been awesome. So, James and I took him thinking he was going to be our SP3, and we haven't used him once in a pitching spot so far. And it's actually worked out because he's got a couple steals and a couple homers. I think Ohtani does. So I'd love to see that guy running. Yeah, 2 steals already. That's
yeah, and Madden's. I mean, they're not hesitant to use him the day before or after he pitches. Heck, they're not hesitant to use him the day he pitches as a batter. So
I love to see that now that he's hitting for himself. Yeah, I love too that he said that he likes doing that because he likes the idea of helping himself.
Yeah, no. That. He may be losing fewer games than we thought, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do feel a little iffy about him on the pitching side, but man, that blister's not affecting him at the plate at all. Kershaw versus Colorado at San Diego, so he passed the Coors. I mean, he struggled a little bit at Coors, but he got that one out of the way at least. Now he gets the Rockies at home, which is great. At San Diego's great, so I mean, at San Diego isn't great anymore, but they are down Tatis, and so that's a big blow to them.
Yeah.
And Kershaw 5, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Given, yep.
I just know that some people were a little iffy after that first start, but no, still 5 skills-wise. For Miami, Sandy Alcantara, Pablo Lopez, 2 guys I really like. At Atlanta versus San Francisco. So, I mean, pretty nice. Alcantara's really, I think, in that 5 range, and I think Pablo Lopez, I think, is a 4.
No, I agree in that. I think it's just they're similar skills wise, but they've already shown that they'll let Alcantara go. There's no leash at all. Lopez, I don't know if it's so much a leash, but they may be a little bit hesitant. I have him ranked a little bit lower down on the raw ratings. I'll have to take a look at that. But I'll go 4 and 3.
Okay, 4 for Sandy and 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 and 3. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it down, and I'm going to include these on the show notes too, so you can just copy and paste from there if you want. By the way, Freddie Peralta, I know on opening day people were kind of like, "What the heck's this guy doing coming out of the bullpen?" But then he did get his start, first start on April 6th, and nice start for him. It did have a few control issues, but effectively wild. I mean, walked 4, but only 1 hit allowed, 8 Ks. Over 5 innings. You look at this 2-start for Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers versus Chicago versus Pitt, both at home. Are you buying in on what we've seen so far from Freddie Peralta?
Yeah, and if it's not too late, teacher, I'd like to change Lopez to a 4.
Okay.
I am buying in on Peralta, and I'll give him he's ranked as a 5, but I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 4 too. I mean, that versus Pitt at the end. And yeah, as we mentioned, Chicago not that scary anymore either. So while those both are at American Family Field, formerly known as Miller Park, I like the swing and miss upside in that 2-step for Peralta.
Yeah.
Now for Minnesota, J. Happ, Kenta Maeda. Maeda's a 5, but what about Happ versus Boston at the Angels?
I'm gonna go with 3. I'm not the biggest J. Happ fan, but if the ball is indeed a little bit not traveling as far, we can't say softer anymore. If the ball isn't traveling as far, I think he gets helped. I'm going to go 3. That at LA is I like lefties more than I do righties in Angel Stadium, just because it's the right field is a nice home run park now for lefties.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about Happ, but I'll probably give him a 3 too. That matchup against Boston scares me. I feel like when he was with the Yankees, every time they faced Boston, he got crushed, but that was probably not the case. I just have it in my head that at least one year he ran into some trouble with them. But, yeah, I got a 3 on J. Happ as well. Now for the Mets, David Peterson struggled in his first start. Taijuan Walker was a lot better than Peterson was. Versus Philadelphia at Colorado. That at Colorado bumps Peterson down to a 0. But what about Walker?
He must. Yeah, obviously with Arizona, so he's seen Coors before. So that's still, man, it's still just a 1. I like what I saw and I know you're losing a 2-start week out of him, but as we talk about, this is going to be more about matchups this year and less about 2-start weeks. So there will be time where you can use Walker if he looks like he did last time. So I'm going to call it a 1, but I'm not dropping him. I still cautiously optimistic going forward.
Yeah, I got a 2, but that does seem high for a Coors start in there, but I do kind of like Walker, and I'll take the chance maybe.
Colorado isn't as intimidating as they've been, you know? I mean, maybe that's going to be some of the stories that, you know, Coors Field's still Coors Field, but the lineup just isn't as good.
Yeah, man. I'm with you there. Now, Cole an easy 5, so let me just get that in the sheet. Don't need us to tell you to start Garrett Cole. Chris Bassett, though, I'm a little nervous because I have him in a few leagues, and he has not been off to a good start. I should have heeded the warnings of Scott Genstead, who, you know, he knows that team, and he was the one guy who was kind of like, I don't know about Chris Bassett. 0-2 with a 5.56 ERA now. At Arizona versus Detroit seems like a great 2-step to get right. So I'm probably going to go 4, even though I haven't liked what I've seen so far from Chris Bassett.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 as well. I think I think a lot of what Scott, it wasn't so much Bassett himself, but he's finally starting to get a little respect, and I think sometimes
he got priced out.
It was yeah, exactly. So I don't know that, you know, at least I don't want to speak for Scott. Scott does a really good job of speaking for himself, but I think it was more relative to the market, where I think Scott may have felt a little bit nervous as opposed to Bassett himself.
Yeah, that's probably it. Because I know he said,
I don't want again. I don't. Maybe if Scott listened, he can put in the comments of the tweet. But I think, I don't know that Bassett himself hasn't shown any reason to not think he is what he is. But I just think there isn't any upside, and it is a risky profile. Although he's been striking out more batters lately, but I'd like what you call this is a get right week.
Yeah, and I know Scott did say that he was in on Bassett the year before when he was basically free as like the perceived sixth starter. But I think it was more about the market and not just like not liking Bassett outright for Scott Genstead. But for Philadelphia, Chase Anderson, Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola's a 5, but Chase Anderson, you know, that first start in New York's okay. Versus St. Louis kind of scares me a little bit. You know, he's kind of in that Dean Kramer 1 mix, I'd say. Albert Alzolay in that same bucket.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2.
Okay.
I think it's I'll go 2.
All right, now Trevor Cahill. Oh, man, the Reds just clobbered him around. That was great to watch as a fan. Then Chad Kuhl, they did the same thing too. So, you know, they're not getting that juggernaut offense this week. But they do have to face San Diego. Then at Milwaukee, I think they're both 0s.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, let me get that noted in the sheet. Trevor Cahill's still hanging around, but, man, he should not be a big league starter at this point. Chad Kuhl, you know, he's at least a guy to maybe keep an eye on, but I'm not starting him this week. Darvish and Snell, both 5s.
Yep.
So let me get that marked. What time's our first game today, by the way? It's not at, is it like 2:30 East Central?
I'm not, they may be a little bit later just because there aren't any opening days, so you can keep going down the list. I'll check it out for you.
Oh, yeah. I don't mean to put that on you.
No, it's all right.
We got the XM show coming up. I want to be sure. I got to be sure I get my lineups changed.
You got to put those auto lineups in that you don't have anybody healthy.
Yeah, no kidding. Justice Sheffield at Baltimore versus Houston. I kind of liked him, like, you know, the peripherals being what they were last year, but I think Justice Sheffield's probably that's probably a 1.
Yep, I agree. And it's 3:10, so your time 2:10.
Okay, nice. So I actually will have a little time after the show. Thank you for looking that up. Again, sorry I have to put that on you. That's not on you to do it. But anyway, for the Giants, Aaron Sanchez versus Cincinnati at Miami. Good parks to pitch in anyway, but do you think Aaron Sanchez, I guess he went 5? Yeah, he did go 5 against the Padres. So I may give him like a 3 given these matchups.
Oh boy, he just did not. He has not looked good coming into this year, though.
I'm giving him a 2. I already bumped him down.
All right, I'm going to give him a 1,
Okay.
just in case. But I'm not. That Miami is another lineup that hasn't. I mean, they're not going to crush it, but they're also not going to be as bad as they've been.
Yeah, they've been pretty slow out of the gates, that Miami team, for sure. At least on offense. Now, for the Cardinals, John Gant. Looks like he's probably getting 2. Versus Washington at Philadelphia. Not a bad pitcher, but not a guy I really trust. No decision. He went 4 innings. Looks like he threw 82 pitches, 48 for strikes. Don't really trust him to go deep enough. And these kind of scare me. So I'm going to go, I guess John Gant's a 1, but it's iffy.
I'm going to go 2,
Okay.
hoping that if he is efficient in one of those games, the 82 to 90 pitches gets him 5 innings. But
it's possible.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with 2 because I don't think he gets blown out, but whether he gets the wins and enough strikeouts is sort of the question.
Now for the Tampa Bay Rays, Tyler Glasnow, an obvious 5. But what about Ryan Yarbrough? I was not really on him, but a lot of Yarbroughs had to eat that first outing from him. You expect to bounce back this coming week?
Well, what was odd with that outing, and I tweeted about it too, is he usually doesn't get left out to dry. Tampa doesn't usually do that to a lot of pitchers, but he took one. He took one for the team against the newly hot Red Sox. Although it was one of those outings where it kind of just you scored a lot of runs, but when you should have gotten him out of the game then. Well, when it kind of just snuck up in 2 different innings, it kind of just snuck up. I guess the fact that it snuck up in the second inning or another inning is a sign right there. Tampa should have been more on the ball, but I think there's a bounce back. There has to be a bounce back, but at New York is tough. And I'm going to go with a 3, but I don't want to watch that second game against the Yankees.
Yeah, that one against the Yankees scares me. I got a 2, but you got a 3 on Ryan Yarbrough for next week. Now, for Texas, they've been doing that tandem starter thing with a couple spots. So Dane Dunning, you can expect that with him. Although Dunning, he went 5. So, yeah, good for him.
The first week I ranked the second guy, but Dunning went 5. Taylor Hearn, but Dunning went 5. So this week I'm ranking Dunning and Lyles. I think they go as long as they're effective, and then we just know who the second pitcher is, as opposed to Wilmer Font going an inning and then bringing in Ryan Yarbrough that the Tampa would do.
Sure.
But as far as Dunning, I mean, kind of like what we're seeing, no? I mean, I liked what we saw last year. And I love the fact he's in Texas as opposed to just a better ballpark. I'd rather pitch with the White Sox, but such a better ballpark. I've got Dunning. I got him as a 4. Really? I'm going to leave him a 4.
Wow, okay. I had a 2, but I'm going to put you down for a 4. For us, 2-point difference is kind of a big spread.
Well,
so.
The matchups don't scare me, and now that I think he'll go 5, I'm gonna give him the 4.
I'm just not as sure that he will. I mean, maybe he will if he's as efficient. And then at Tampa Bay is kind of.
I can see that.
But no, I hear you. And then Kyle Gibson, rough outing at first, but then a decent bounce back. I'd say he's probably a 0. But would you give him a 1?
With those matchups, I'm going to give him a 2.
All right, I'll go 1, I guess.
And I'll regret it.
Yeah. I was the one saying after that opening day, like, man, if you started Kyle Gibson, you deserve it. So I'm actually going to bump him back down to a 0. If I'm going to say that and dunk on people, even though I didn't really, it was good fun.
He strikes out more batters than one may think. And now I don't know how so far it's looking this year, but he's been one of those guys with a increasing strikeout rate over the past several years. So I'm going to stick with the 2. I like the matchups.
Now, with Robbie Ray, again, this is pretty tentative, but he did sound like he was making good progress, completed a sim game on Wednesday. So versus New York at KC. At KC is pretty nice, but I think just on principle, especially as a lefty going up against that Yankees team, the walk issues, and I was like fading Ray like none other this I was just not buying into the spring. when everybody else kind of seemed to be, and he was throwing harder, but I'm going to go 0. I'm putting my foot down. And
yeah, it's a shame
saying that if you start Robbie Ray, then that's on you.
It's a shame to start Ray. Yeah, you know what? I don't know who's going to go the innings, so yeah, I'm going to give him a 0. And yeah, I need to see it.
Yeah, I mean, great spring again, but his history, I can't do it, and I can't in good consciousness recommend starting Robbie Ray. Steven Strasberg, is he a 5 though for you?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he is.
Okay.
I mean, is it a confident 5? You know what? With those matchups, it is. So I'm going to go 5. Yeah.
Yeah, he did not factor in the decision, but he threw 6 scoreless.
Yeah. I'm going to. Yes, it's now a confident 5. I forgot. Yeah, to me it was more the innings, and I missed the fact he did go 6. So yeah, start him with confidence, friends.
Yeah, and with that going 6 in his first outing, he's already surpassed his innings total from all of last year. 5.
There you go.
Now we'll recap these and send you on your way today. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll run through the 2-start options and our grades for the week of April 12th, 2021. Madison Bumgarner, I say 1, Todd 2. Merrill Kelly, I got a 1, Todd 3. Max Fried 4. Huascar Inoa 1. John Means, I got a 5, Todd 4. Dean Kramer 1. Nathan Eovaldi 4. Martin Perez, we both say 2, but with some trepidation. Adbert Alzole 1. Wade Miley 2, Todd 1, Shane Bieber 5, Tristan McKenzie 3, Antonio Senzatella 1, Lucas Giolito 5, Dallas Kykel 3, Casey Mize, I got a 1, Todd 2, Matthew Boyd, I say 2, Todd 3, Zach Greinke 5, Danny Duffy, I say 1, Todd 2, Jake Junis 0, Clayton Kershaw 5, Sandy Alcantara, I say 5, Todd 4, Pablo Lopez 4, Freddie Peralta 4, Kenta Maeda 5, J Happ 3, David Peterson 0, Taijuan Walker, I say 2, Todd 1. Probably better listen to Todd on that one. Garrett Cole 5, Chris Bassett 4, Aaron Nola 5, Chase Anderson, I say 1, Todd 2, Trevor Cahill 0, Chad Kuhl 0, Yu Darvish 5, Blake Snell 5, Justice Sheffield 1, Aaron Sanchez, I say 2, Todd 1, John Gant, I say 1, Todd 2. Tyler Glasnow 5, Ryan Yarbrough, I say 2, Todd 3, Dane Dunning, I say 2, Todd 4, Kyle Gibson, I say 0, Todd 2, Robbie Ray 0, Hyunjin Ryu 5, Steven Strasberg 5. Well, great stuff. Always appreciate the insight, Todd. Anything else you want to mention before we sign off?
No, just I got to do my taxes. I just realized I got to do my taxes.
Taxes.
All good. It's all good.
We got to pay the government after last year. That's absurd. All right, man. Well, thanks for everything. I'll be talking to you on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio here in a few hours. Then tomorrow on MLB Network Radio. So check that out if you want more fantasy baseball talk, 5 to 6 Eastern on MLB Network Radio tomorrow. Otherwise, have a good weekend. Best of luck in your fantasy leagues, and take care.
Please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.